Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Artunian, and the topic I will be discussing with you today is how nursing image, education, and workforce issues have evolved throughout history. All right, so first let's discuss the nursing image and how it has evolved. So, over time, nurses have had many images, ranging from the angel of mercy to sexual stereotypes. In 55 AD, nurses first formed themselves into organized groups during the early Christian era, and nursing ideals of charity, service, and self sacrifice were in harmony with the teachings of the early Christian church. The role of being a nurse gave women a meaningful way of participating in the work of the church, and this began the association of nursing within the religion, and nurses were shown as angels and saints. So, throughout the early 19th century, the sick who had lacked families to tend to their needs were overseen by nurses who were considered to be caretakers, helping with meals, cleaning, and bathing patients. Now, by 1854, the perception of nursing changed drastically thanks to Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale not only reformed nursing as it existed at the time, but she also laid the foundation for nursing as a profession. When Florence chose to serve as a nurse in the Crimean War, she was appalled by the living conditions that the military soldiers faced. She made it her mission to ensure sanitation and necessary supplies were prioritized, which helped to decrease the mortality rates tremendously. This shifted the perspective of nursing forever, and nurses became known as a well respected career for women. Now, by the 1940s, World War II begins, and much of the propaganda during this time reflected the idea of nurses being heroes when they choose to serve. By the 1960s, the media began to promote nurses as figures of lust, which emphasized a misogynistic view of nurses and made the opinion of the nursing profession decline by the public eye by this time. Currently, nursing has been identified as one of the most honest and ethical professions in America. The face of nursing continues to be prominently female, and although the number of men in nursing is growing, we do need more campaigns and targeted recruitment to draw men into the profession. Our image is now continuously evolving as nurses fill seats in the House of Representatives and news stations, as we are used for resources for their stories on healthcare issues. And these issues allow us to represent the reality of nursing and show how the profession contributes to the healthcare system. These developments show promise, but the nursing professional image needs more. Each nurse needs to be able to explore how his or her actions or inactions affect our image. Nursing faculty need to work with student nurse organizations to help promote the image of nursing. Nursing leaders need to recognize the daily impact that they have on the perceptions of staff nurses, patients, and caregivers, and staff nurses must appreciate the importance of how they are perceived by patients and caregivers. So, next, we are going to delve into nursing education. So in 1798, Valentine Seaman, a New York physician, organized an early course of lectures for new nurses who cared for maternity patients. An early 19th century program called the Nurse Society of Philadelphia trained women in caring for mothers during childbirth and during the postpartum period. Its founder, Dr. Joseph Warrington, was a strong advocate for providing instruction for women interested in pursuing nursing as an occupation. Now, by 1873, the nursing educational programs came to fruition. The New York Training School at Bellevue Hospital, the Connecticut Training School at the State Hospital, and the Boston Training School at the Massachusetts General Hospital began their operations. Now, these three programs were all based on the ideas of Florence Nightingale. This led to a massive influx of nurse training programs that provided students with clinical experience deemed necessary for being a nurse. This was a 2 to 3 year program, and nursing students would receive a diploma upon completion and could work as a trained nurse. Now, fast forward to current day nursing education programs, they are not only dedicated to training nurses for on the job experience, but a large amount of the time is now dedicated to didactic learning as well, as nurses have become more involved in clinical practice more than just an extension of traditional caretaking. The long term changes in nursing education have largely been made in response to an evolving sense of what makes a nurse competent. Early on, nurses primarily relied on family caretaking experience with few pursuing additional training, knowledge, or skills. Now we're noticing that the encouragement for nurses to not only obtain a bachelor's degree, but to also pursue graduate level education. These adaptations have allowed nurses to continue providing the compassionate care their patients desire while also taking on a variety of important clinical roles. While we have made tremendous advancements in the nursing profession over time, it's still very important to always maintain the principles of what nursing was founded on with Florence Nightingale's ideals. So, next we are going to discuss workforce issues. So, employment conditions for nurses presented challenges. In the early part of the 20th century, hospitals employed only a few graduate nurses, mainly in supervisory positions. They relied mostly on student nurses for the majority of the bedside care provided to patients. Most nurses, once they graduated from their educational program, entered the field of private duty nursing. Private duty nurses were employed by individual patients primarily in their homes. As institutions became more of the site for delivery of sick care, private duty nurses moved with their patients into the hospital setting, delivering care to the hospitalized individuals who could afford to pay more for their own nurse. But for nurses, private duty often did not provide a regular and dependable employment. So nurses were hired on an as needed basis by patients and were oftentimes without a regular source of income. The cost of private duty was also quite high, limiting the number of patients employing private duty nurses. It was not until the mid 20th century that hospitals hired nurses as regular staff on a permanent basis, providing full professional nursing services to all hospitalized patients. So, our workforce issues today consist of there is an underevaluation of the nursing profession that has sparked a global nursing shortage, which is one of the most urgent public healthcare crises of this present day. A new survey by the National Council of State Board of Nursing found that about 100,000 registered nurses in the U.S. left the workplace due to the stresses of COVID 19. Another 610,000 RNs were reported as having an intent to leave the workforce by 2027 due to stress, burnout, or retirement. Now, there are not enough nurses to monitor and advocate for patients, provide treatments, and educate patients and their families about living with certain healthcare conditions. Without sufficient staffing of nurses, patients are more likely to receive deficient care, resulting in an increase in poor health outcomes and sometimes death. So, next, we're going to talk about the rapid changes going on in the industry. So, where is the future of nursing headed? So, the nursing industry is changing at a rapid rate. With shifting technology and an aging patient population and new challenges brought on by federal legislation, the nursing industry is being forced to evolve to ensure that hospitals and organizations are able to continue to provide the best possible care. The first trend we will see is a shift in demographics. Historically, U.S. nursing demographics have been fairly uniform along racial and gender lines. However, the industry's makeup is changing. We are expected to see a greater number of men in this career in the near future as trends in male nursing is increasing each year. We're also expected to see nurses in a more leadership role. Nursing professionals have seen increased opportunities for leadership. In the US, nurses are being called on to meet the growing healthcare needs of patients and organizations. Some job titles that fall into this category include clinical nurse leader, nurse manager, nurse executive, and nurse administrator. These increased leadership opportunities also include roles that require an advanced degree. Population health strategies are not only meant to improve health outcomes, but also to help save money for patients and healthcare organizations by preventing medical problems before expensive interventions are required. The HRSA reported that nurses can bring great value to this healthcare model with the expert care they provide, with helping the healthcare system as a whole respond to patient needs on both the individual and population level. One of the plan's major goals is to increase nursing education in the workforce. This push towards increased nursing education does not only apply to just receiving a bachelor's of science in nursing, it's also true for higher degrees. Doctoral degrees have seen a particular push from many nursing organizations, including the Institute of Medicine. So, my personal nursing history fits with present day nursing and where we are headed. I began nursing school when there was a nursing shortage related to the pandemic. I also recognize the rapid shifts occurring in nursing that are going to require nurses to take on more leadership roles and gain advancements in education. I myself would like to apply for a nurse practitioner school in the future. I've witnessed firsthand how schools are merging that didactic and practicum education to better serve nursing students and provide greater learning outcomes. Bon Secours Memorial College of Nursing gave me the encouragement and tools in order to join leadership programs to allow nursing voices to be heard. I feel lucky to have been a student in this program, and I do feel as though I have a much better impression of how far we've come in the nursing industry by learning about our history. Thank you so much.